Hello, good evening. Just calling to order meeting of the Wakefield School Committee on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Um, our next item on the agenda, we are going to move into executive session. And then after executive session, we will return to the studio and we should be opening our open session at 7 p.m. So I'm just going to read the motion to go into executive session. Under open meeting law, executive session exemptions number 2 and number 3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
Second, Peter Davis.
Okay. All those in favor? We have to roll call.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, we'll do a roll call. Pete.
Yes, Peter Davis.
Kevin Biscavolo.
Yes.
Stephen Ingles.
Yeah.
Melissa Quinn.
Yeah.
Alex Nauman.
Yes.
And Kevin Fontanella votes yes. Unanimous vote. We have now moved into executive session, and we will see you at 7. Goodbye. So we have just exited executive session and we are now back in open session. Thank you for waiting. Next item on the agenda, I'm going to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is the reading of our mission statement. The vision of the Wakefield Public Schools is to graduate students who are confident, lifelong learners who are respectful and caring members of their community. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and community by providing a rich and challenging curriculum, high-quality instruction, and educational experiences that meet their individual needs and interests. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment. So any member of the public who is here, who wishes to address us, can come up to the mic and speak now. Thank you. And I would just ask that you just say your name and your address.
Hello, my name is Carrie Melanson. I live at 72 Elm Street in Wakefield. To the members of the school committee and the superintendent, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. We, the nurses of Wake Public Schools, are here to share our concerns regarding two critical gaps in our district's health infrastructure: the elimination of the district's float nurse position and the absence of a dedicated school nurse leader. Both directly affect student safety, regulatory compliance, and equitable access to health services across all schools. This past June, we discovered that the float nurse position, approved in the 2020-25-2026 budget and in place since the COVID-19 pandemic, had been removed. For 5 years, this position has been crucial in maintaining safe staffing levels across our 7 schools. Wakefield's DESE high needs designation of 32.8% reflects a substantial number of students who require increased levels of medical, behavioral, and socio-emotional support, all of which impact the nursing department. Across the district, nurses manage large and growing numbers of students with significant medical needs, including 201 students with allergy action plans requiring EpiPens, 228 students with asthma requiring medications or monitoring, 30 students with seizure disorders, 14 of which require rescue medication, 11 students with diabetes or hyperinsulinemia requiring daily management, 54 students with chronic medical conditions requiring individualized health plans, and 36 students who require daily scheduled nursing care. Daily visit volume ranges from 20 students to over 60 students, depending on the school. The float nurse played a critical role in ensuring safe coverage for these needs. Last year, this position covered 57 absences and field trips, substitutes covered 12, and the Galvin and high school nurses floated 10 times. Even with all those resources, 30 coverage requests still went unfilled. Across a 180-day school year, the district required 109 separate instances of nursing coverage. The float nurses from the Galvin and the middle school have already floated 14 times during the 81 days of school due to the lack of float coverage this year. 26 instances of coverage this year have left uncovered from September until today, and we have used subs 19 times already this year. This data makes it clear that the float nurse was not a luxury, it was essential. Meanwhile, the complexity of school nursing continues to grow. Nurses now manage individualized delegation of nasal rescue medication, more medically complex students requiring IEPs and 504s, chronic disease care coordination, and rising ELL and special needs. The demographics of our nursing staff have also shifted, with more nurses who have young families who may require maternity and/or medical childcare leave. Post-COVID protocols, which require nurses to stay home when sick, add to the frequency of absences that must be safely covered. It is important to emphasize our nurses are responsible for the health and safety of more than 3,500 students and 600 staff members in our district. We respond to emergencies, manage and administer medications, track immunizations, secure medical documentation, complete mandated screenings and state reporting, monitor communicable illnesses, follow up with families, review every student visit to identify emerging medical or mental health concerns. We work with outside providers to obtain adequate paperwork and coordinate the care of chronic health needs. We also train staff on EpiPen use, medication delegation, and the care of students with chronic or life-threatening conditions. Many of us do this while this work while not having a dedicated lunch break. To illustrate the level of care required, I want to briefly share 2 real examples of students in our district. Example 1, a student with diabetes. Caring for a student with diabetes requires extensive daily clinical management. The nurse must obtain orders and supplies, keep the orders updated, create individualized care plans, emergency plans, train staff members, and ensure safety during field trips or after-school events. Every day involves monitoring glucose levels, communicating with kitchen staff about carbohydrate counts as they eat the school lunch, review changing nutrition information from the cafeteria, and calculate and administer insulin doses correctly and safely. Beyond clinical tasks, the nurse educates the student, supports their emotional well-being, and works to build their independence with their diagnosis over time. One student with diabetes can require multiple touch points every day, even when well controlled. Example 2, a student with a genetic disorder and seizures. For a student with a genetic disorder and seizures, the nurse must create a comprehensive plan of care, including an individualized health plan, an emergency care plan, and contributing to the IEP. She must coordinate with healthcare providers for required orders, train all staff who interact with the student to recognize seizures and emergency response, and ensure dietary restrictions are met by researching macronutrient counts in the school's foods and working with the kitchen staff to develop appropriate lunch menus. The nurse must meet all requirements for delegating seizure medication and coordinating field trip coverage to ensure the student remains safe in all settings. This work requires expertise, continuous follow-up, and a team-wide approach coordinated by the nurse. These cases demonstrate while consistent nursing coverage is not optional, it is fundamental to student safety, learning, and legal compliance. At the same time, our district lacks a full school nurse leader. While Wakefield has a school nurse coordinator, the individual is also assigned to a full building caseload. This is out of alignment with surrounding districts and is increasingly unsustainable. Without a dedicated leader, nurses are left to individually interpret new regulations, manage district-wide medical protocols, and make complex clinical decisions without centralized guidance. As a result, questions that should go to a medical expert are often routed instead to non-medical administrators, leading to confusion, potential liability, and inconsistency between schools. Only 3 districts in the Middlesex League do not have a school nurse leader whose primary role is district-wide oversight rather than daily nursing coverage. A leader is necessary for consistent emergency protocols, regulatory compliance, staff onboarding, and equitable standards of care. Leadership is also essential for high acuity cases, mental health crises, communicable disease management, and emergency preparedness. We want to be clear that we are offering solutions, not simply raising concerns. Some options for funding can include reinstating the float nurse using the already budgeted salary, creating a part-time or full-time school nurse leader with the existing salary, someone who can also cover schools when there is a need, combining this role with other district needs, such as the attendance supervisor or other student services oversight, such as PT, OT, and speech, or exploring funding opportunities through upcoming medical reimbursement legislation, specifically House Bill 545, which will allow direct Medicaid reimbursement to schools for eligible school-based services, future CHS grant cycles, or potential partnerships with Melrose Wakefield Hospital. In conclusion, Wakefield students deserve a safe, well-coordinated, and professionally led school health system. Removing the float nurse position and operating without a dedicated school nurse leader compromises our ability to meet state mandates, provide safe emergency response, and ensure equitable care across all schools. Restoring this role is not an operational preference, it is a foundational requirement for a safe and effective district. We respectfully ask the school committee to reinstate the float nurse or establish a dedicated school nurse leader position. We remain committed to working collaboratively to strengthen our district and to support every child's ability to learn safely. Thank you for your time and your continued commitment to the student of Wakefield Public Schools. Signed, the Wakefield Public School nursing staff: Rita Perlin, Lisa Gibberti, Carrie Melanson, Sarah Flanagan, Kelly Qualey, Meg Hoffman, Alicia Warner, Alex Lecomte, and Carrie Ann Cassesso.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak for public comment? Do we have anyone on Zoom? No? Okay. Seeing no one on Zoom and no one else in the room, we're going to exit public comment. Next item on the agenda is our Student Advisory Council. Do we have any students here, or I don't think so. Do we have any students on Zoom that are going to present? Right. Okay. All right, going.
We had a student, but she seems to have dropped off.
Okay. Thank you, Ian. All right. Next item on the agenda, I believe we have a consent agenda, and I think we have a motion.
Move the school committee approve the minutes of the December 2nd, 2025 school committee meeting and accept the minutes of the November 21st, 2025 and the December 5th, 2025 Finance and Facilities Subcommittee meeting. Second.
Motion has been seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, the motion unanimously passes. Next item on the agenda is our budget items. Christine.
Thank you.
Report.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight in your packet, you have the financial report from July 1st to December 31st, 2025. This is halfway through the fiscal year. You'll see our available balance is just over $2.7 million, about 4.88% remaining. That's still having some positions posted that are on our website and some non-salary lines for still encumbrances to be made. The next line would be the grants, which have dramatically been reduced since the start of the school year. The MECO grant is probably the only one still with the remaining budget of $162. The last page has the revolving accounts, which has dramatically come down since last fiscal year, with just over 2.9 remaining for this fiscal year. We still have 2 more payments of circuit breaker to be made for the school year for out-of-district tuition costs. Does anyone have any questions for the first 6 months of the fiscal year?
Don't think so.
Great. And then we have payroll warrants for November and December to be voted on tonight.
So I think we have a motion.
Move the school committee approve payroll warrants numbers 20 and 22, 24 and 26 as presented.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion unanimously passes. And do we have any gifts?
We do not have any gifts tonight.
Okay. Thank you very much for your report.
Welcome.
Okay. I am going to take the next item out of order. I'm just going to move my comments above the superintendent's comments, just because we have a presentation a speaker tonight, who we wanted to give her the time so she can get out of here a little bit earlier. First, I just have some brief comments. So we're back from winter break. It seems like forever ago when our last meeting was. So glad to see all of you again. And yeah, we had a 2-week break this year, and I know that, as a teacher in the district I'm in, last week I know it was a interesting transition period. Took a few days to get everyone back on track, and now we're up and running. We're almost at the halfway point of the school year, which is crazy, but it's true. And yeah, I just hope everyone's had a great winter holiday, and yeah, we're right back in it. Next item on the agenda for my comments, so we have an update from CPAC. So I want to invite Ann to the mic. And I know we were trying to schedule you earlier in the fall, and then there were commitments that were messed up. So thank you very much for rescheduling and being able to come.
Yeah, I think that's mostly on my end. My teaching schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and BU. So thank you for being flexible with me. We're still on break for another week, so yeah. Thank you, everybody, for having me. Thank you, Kevin, for inviting me. For those who maybe don't know me, I'm Ann Herzog, and I am here representing the CPAC. I am a parent volunteer for CPAC, which stands for Special Education Parent Advisory Council, and I was recently re-elected to be the chair for the next 2 years at our business meeting in November, so I'm grateful for that opportunity. And also thankful for Chris Martone-Levine, Chrissy Loftus, and Trace Frazier, who continue to serve the rest of our CPAC board. Just wanted to start off by saying how much we appreciate all that you do and especially the collaboration and support from Doug, Kara, Rosie, Shannon, and all of you. We recognize and appreciate all of the work that goes into being on the school committee and everything that you do for our students. And on behalf of students and families, we'd like to thank you and also thank Alex in particular for being our liaison this year. We really appreciate that, your time. To share a little bit about myself personally, I've had students in the district now, been a parent of students in the district now for 20 years, which is a big milestone for us. We only have 2 more years to go after this one. And my children have attended 5 of the Wakefield public schools. We've worked with, I think, 5 different superintendents, if that sounds correct, and I think dozens of principals at this point. I am a mom to 2 Wakefield Memorial High School grads, one who graduated from Cornell University and is now an engineer, and one who will be graduating from Boston College in just a few months. And what's always interesting and I think important for us to hear from our recent grads, and especially mine, have told me how very well prepared they were for the college experience based on their high school experience at Wakefield. Their teachers, the curriculum, and all of their experiences led to a very positive college experience as well. And I also have 2 current students at Wakefield High School. I've been a certified child life specialist at Newton Wellesley Hospital for the last 31 years, and I've been an instructor at Boston University's Wheelock College of Education and Human Development for the past 20 years. So I have a few different hats. As far as CPAC, so parent advisory councils are required by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, or what we refer to as DESE, as outlined in the Massachusetts Special Education Law, Chapter 71B. And the purpose of our Wakefield CPAC in particular is to promote awareness of special education services, to be a source of information and support for families from Wakefield whose children receive special education services, and to work with the district regarding meeting the needs of those students. Over the past several years, according to what data we've gotten from Rosie Galvin and Shannon, the percentage of students from Wakefield who have an IEP has hovered around 20%. It's a fluid number because as children with disabilities are identified, an individualized education program is created for them. But it shows me and shows the CPAC just how impactful our work can do in supporting families in our district. Districts are also mandated to provide annual basic rights workshops and information to families. And Wakefield Public Schools does support a membership in MassPAC through the Federation for Children with Special Needs for us, which provides families and educators access to a monthly series of free virtual workshops on special education rights and other important topics, including basic rights. That's one thing we hear from families, that they often don't know what they don't know. So we try to provide a variety of educational opportunities, and this is just one piece of that. These workshops are offered each week throughout the year. They're offered in different languages and interpretations, and families can sign up for as many as they would like. So there's more information about that on our new webpage that is located on the Wakefield Public Schools site. As a CPAC, we also value and encourage the positive outcomes found with effective family engagement, which has also been identified as a priority of both state and federal agencies. And family engagement is defined as a systematic inclusion of families in activities and programs that promote children's development, learning, and wellness, including the planning, development, and evaluation of such activities, programs, and systems. As a parent and as parents of children with disabilities and children who require special education services, I do think it's a unique experience, and so I wanted to spend a few minutes just talking about parenting a child or children who require special education services. First, an individual with a disability is identified by the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, as a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, a person who has a history or record of such an impairment, or a person who's perceived by others as having such an impairment. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is a law that makes available a free and appropriate public education to eligible children with disabilities throughout the nation and ensures special education and related services to those children. And this law states disability is a natural part of the human experience, and in no way diminishes the right of individuals to participate in or contribute to society. Improving educational results for children with disabilities is an essential element of our national policy of ensuring equality of opportunity, full participation, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency for individuals with disabilities. Every family's experience is different. Some families learn that the child has a disability at birth or even prenatally. Some families learn that their child has a disability later on in the parenting journey. And some families have both of these experiences, as their children might have multiple areas of disability or they might have more than one child with a disability. But regardless of when a parent learns about a child's disability, it is a life-changing moment. It's sort of a before that moment and after that moment experience. It can be a shocking and overwhelming time, a frightening time, and definitely a lonely time. There are many questions that come up. How can I help my child? What will the future look like? Life can be challenging, it can be chaotic, it can be overwhelming, and it can be unpredictable. But it's also amazing, a rewarding and wonderful experience as you see your children make progress and flourish. You learn to truly appreciate and celebrate their small miracles, such as a first laugh, a first sentence spoken, a new friendship, or a first book read, even though these milestones might happen along a much different time frame than typically developing children. One of the gifts of having a child with special needs is the relationships that develop between families. There's nothing quite as special as a connection between families with children who have similar challenges. They simply understand, they get it, without lengthy explanation, without question, without judgment, and to be truly understood and supported in that way is incredibly powerful. Another gift is that gift of perspective, taking nothing for granted and cheering your child on through each goal they accomplish, whether big or small. And through our CPAC programs, it's our goal to try to connect families to information, support, and to other families walking a similar journey. And also through our annual CPAC Superheroes program, we give families an opportunity to recognize the dozens of teachers and staff of the Wakefield Public Schools who cheer our children on and take the extra steps to make sure all children meet their goals. We had more than 70 nominations from families for CPAC Superheroes this past year, honoring those staff in the district who went above and beyond to help a child. These nominations are heartfelt and powerful, highlighting the work of our talented staff. And I wish you all could read these nominations because they're incredibly powerful and I think really reinforce the work that we do here. The Wakefield School Committee's mission that we just talked about, their statement aligns with what CPAC believes most families want for their children, that they grow up to be confident, lifelong learners who are respectful and caring members of the community. And just to reiterate, we appreciate the ongoing collaboration with the district. It's definitely in a child's best interest to have the school, community, and family all on the same page. Our goal is to continue to be a source of information and support for all families of children with disabilities in the district and those who require special education services. And we do that in a number of different ways. We're very excited about our new webpage within the Wakefield Public Schools website, and we appreciate all the effort on the part of the district going into that. We are planning on adding more robust content about the CPAC events and information about special education in general and basic rights. We appreciate the district's strong support. In October, Rosie Galvin, before she went out on her leave, helped us organize a meet and greet for families that helped foster new connections between families. And in November, as I mentioned, we held our annual business meeting, which includes elections. In December, with Kara's help and support, we worked with Parent University to host Linda Murphy's presentation on declarative language. And in 2026, we have a parent coffee on January 30th at 9:30 a.m. at the Inspire Cafe. We have an ongoing collaboration with Parent University. We are planning, again, to do our CPAC Superheroes nominations. And additionally, we collaborate with neighboring CPACs to provide more presentations and events on various topics. Our CPAC role is also to serve as a voice for families of children with disabilities, and we did take part in the district's integrated monitoring review through DESE in November. And we were delighted to share many positives with DESE, including how incredibly wonderful our teachers and staff are, about how the district has created innovative programs to meet students' needs and how much we as a CPAC appreciate collaborating with the district. We also identified several areas for further growth. One thing we frequently hear from families is that the district tends to view educational needs through a typical development lens. And it is often difficult to know where to begin with advocating for their children who require special education services. Effective communication between families in the district is our ongoing essential goal. And given this feedback from families, I encourage all of you to think broadly and openly about new rules, policies, and our exciting new environments that we hope to open in the next year. These all have lasting impacts on our most vulnerable students. I ask you to let the lens of inclusion frame every decision that you make. Each child in the district has specific educational needs, and all or nothing rules and policies focused only on our highest performers are not in the best interest of children, with disabilities especially, and can make it far more difficult for them to access the curriculum. Presume good intention from our students. And just to put that, illustrate this with an example, last summer, as you all know, I spoke to you about the handbook rule at the high school, which prevented students from accessing personal devices at the high school. There are multiple students at Wakefield Memorial High School who use their personal devices as a potentially life-saving accommodation. And whenever a change like this is made, it's important to think about how that change potentially impacts students. From families' reports, students have been mistakenly called out or even threatened to have personal devices approved that have been approved and codified in their IEPs or 504s as necessary for them to be able to access the curriculum. I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like and also flip that around and kind of give you an example of what the ideal response to this rule might be to, again, reiterate how important that lens of inclusion is. To give a hypothetical but reality-based example, imagine being a child with a severe anxiety disorder whose IEP mandates that you can use your device for emotional regulation during the school day. You don't have a trusted adult to turn to at school. You feel really anxious about a difficult test you just completed, and as you leave the classroom to head to your next class, you go to utilize a coping skill in your mental health app on your personal device. Seemingly out of nowhere, an administrator in the hallway hollers, "Off and away." Startled, you quickly turn off your device and shove it in your backpack, but your face is already bright red with embarrassment. All of your classmates have heard you be reprimanded. Instead of heading to your next class, you now head to the nurse because you feel a panic attack coming on. You have learned that using tools to help yourself does not work. Let's flip that situation and put that lens of inclusion on it and put that presumed good intention on it. The administrator notices a student leaving a classroom looking visibly upset, holding a device. They don't holler. Instead, the administrator asks, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Not good," the student says. "That test was really hard." As they walk down the hall together, the student continues talking about feeling stressed. The administrator asks the student, "Would it be okay if the guidance counselor is informed about the student's difficult day?" The student agrees. The student enters the next class feeling a little more positive and has supports in place. In education, we often think of the word regulation as referring to the many state and federal mandates that educators are guided by. But regulation can also mean a powerful state of learning to manage strong emotions effectively. Co-regulation happens when two people help each other regulate their emotions. For adults, it can also mean teaching kids how to manage their emotions on their own, a very powerful, effective, and resilience-building tool. It's important that we model inclusion, regulation, and problem solving for students. I encourage all of you to continue to listen to student voices. Creating rules and policies should be evidence-based, but also student and family-centered. Our students are indeed our greatest treasure, and we can learn so much from them. I encourage you, go observe at the schools, sit with students, engage with them about what matters to them, and make sure that students with disabilities have a voice. CPAC families have also told us they would appreciate their children being recognized for their incredibly hard work. It's often the typically developing, most high-achieving students who receive the most attention and recognition in a school district. We hear repeatedly from CPAC families that their children have to work so hard all the time, often harder than typically developing students, and this effort goes unnoticed and unrecognized. For example, at a recent Galvin Moving On ceremony, the majority of time at the ceremony was spent speaking and recognizing 18 high-achieving 8th graders for their accomplishments. This left only about 6 minutes at the very end of the ceremony to recognize the rest of the 88 graduates. That comes out to be about 4 seconds to recognize the enormous effort that all of our Galvin graduates and their families put into 4 years of middle school. With a thoughtful and inclusive approach, I'm sure we could both recognize our high achievers and celebrate the incredible accomplishments of all of our students in a meaningful way. Another communication concern that we have heard from families is that families in the district fear retaliation when they raise issues, attempt to address problems, or communicate about challenges. And to quote Ivan Bodensteiner from The Risk of Complaining, retaliation is a deliberate action used to send a clear message that complaining is unwelcome and risky. It is employed to instill fear in others who might consider making a complaint in the future. Those with cause for complaining are frequently among the most vulnerable in an institution. Once they complain, they can be labeled troublemakers. Retaliation and the fear of retaliation becomes a potent weapon used to maintain the power structure within the institution. Participating in a complaint process is protected from retaliation under civil rights law. And feedback, as you know, is how we grow and make ourselves better as a district. It's not always what we want to hear, but it should be welcome and freely provided. To give another example about what retaliation might look like in a district, a family who files a state complaint about an educational rights violation is later ignored when communicating with an administrator about their child's needs. Retaliation can also be as simple as a teacher refusing to answer emails or refusing to communicate effectively with a parent after they've been given critical feedback. We have definitely come a long way in this district as far as collaboration, communication, and family-centered practice, but we can continue to do better and model that growth mindset for our students. Lastly, it's budget season, and there's a quote attributed to Nelson Mandela that states, "The true character of a society is revealed in how it treats its children." This is true of our school community. Our greatest strength is how we treat our most vulnerable members. I would like to advocate on behalf of the CPAC that the budget address not only our typically developing children, but also meets the individualized needs of children who require special education services, whether that's an out-of-district placement, school nursing services, a specific curriculum, extra staffing, whatever that child's individual needs are. I would also like to advocate for our school nurses, truly the unsung heroes of our district. I'm a mom of students who have experienced life-threatening situations multiple times at school. It simply would not be possible for my children to attend school at all if it were not for the outstanding and talented nurses in every building. They regularly not only save children's lives physically, but they also save lives and build children's resilience by making strong emotional connections with students and families. And I'm all about the examples tonight, so this is a real example. When one of my children had major surgery and was hospitalized for 6 weeks, Sue Siebeking, who was the incredible Dahlberg School nurse at the time, actually came out to our home to learn how to take care of our child so that our child could return to school safely in spite of the many tubes, bags, and other medical supplies she needed. Watching my child return to school after the ordeal she had endured and knowing that she was in the best of hands was an unforgettable day. This is the work the incredible school nurses do every day. They're truly heroes, and their life-saving work should be supported in the budget as well. I thank you all so much for listening to my comments. Again, I thank all of you for the work that you do, and the CPAC would also like to thank every single member of the Wakefield Public School staff who work tirelessly each day to transport our children, teach our children, feed our children, care for our children, and keep our children safe and happy. It's truly my honor and a privilege to be part of the CPAC board. I'm looking forward to our continued work, both with Rosie and Shannon, and all of the special education coordinators and staff to best meet the needs of families receiving special education services in Wakefield. As I said, my youngest kids are now in high school. I only have 2 more years left. Class of 2028 will be our last year. And we are always looking for new CPAC leaders. So if there are any families out there who are interested in joining us, please reach out to us. And we also encourage families to reach out to us at wakefieldcpac@gmail.com. with any questions and to learn more about our events, check out our Facebook page and our new webpage located on the Wakefield Public Schools site. And once again, thank all of you for the opportunity to be here and speak with you. And I'm happy to answer any questions or comments if anybody has them.
Great. Thank you very much for your remarks and testimony.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yeah, Pete.
I want to pass on my thanks, Han. I know many times families are out there and looking for some help. They don't know what to do. And anytime they reach out to you or any of your other leader on the Wakefield CPAC, they always receive support and assistance. And definitely it's appreciated, and it's also appreciated. You're always here to tell it as it is. And we appreciate getting that type of open feedback, and you're always willing to communicate and work with us productively. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing the feedback, too. I think that's one way we can emulate that growth mindset that we talk to the kids all the time about, for sure.
Great. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Doug?
I just think from faculty and staff, I want to say thank you as well, right? And our ability to refer families to you to get support, and you're accurate in your statements this evening. So I appreciate it, because parents often can feel isolated and alone when they learn that their child has a disability, or they might not know exactly what to do if they suspect their child has a disability.
Correct.
And the work that you've done with your team in that space to provide community around these families and around these students has really been exceptional. It's really been exceptional, and it's really helped us be better in our work at better meeting the needs of students. So we thank you, and I know Rosie's not here this evening, but and I know from the special education department and from Shannon, I know that they kind of rely on your collaboration as well, and so they're grateful to be able to have a partner in the space.
Thank you.
So it's
I
much
appreciate
appreciated.
that. Thank you. Yeah, and I don't know if people know this, but Rosie and now Shannon in her place, they put aside a meeting for us at least once a month just to catch up and hear any kind of feedback that we have for them from parents to get our questions answered. So that's just amazing to have that opportunity too. So we're grateful for that.
And that's different. That hasn't been common in districts, and
Exactly.
It's something that's really, the relationships and the collaboration that has emerged has really been good for, I think, both CPAC
For
and
all of
us.
Yeah, and for our students.
We greatly appreciate it, and I think we're better for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate all of you.
I want to especially thank you for your comments. You mentioned the word inclusion a lot, right, in your discussion, and I think that, in the education world, like parents, like, you hear the word inclusion and people like think they know what it means, and when you're actually practicing it, it's I know you threw out some anecdotal examples when you were talking. I had a student last year who was has a major executive functioning disability, and she was always in CP classes, like fully included, but like always in regular standard math, ELA, and she ended up taking my advanced placement class, and there were teachers that actually were like, well, that's not going to work out, and it was very apparent that she definitely had an executive functioning disability, but once you just worked around the organization piece, she got a 5 in the AP test. Wow. She's going to college next year, and she's brilliant. And I just, that whenever I think of her, and other students I've taught too, it's like, when people hear the word disability, it's like they think it's like underneath. It's like, oh, this is something that's under these other people that are normal or higher functioning or whatever. But it's just not true. Like it's just like one little facet, there's a disability, but then there's just when there's scaffolding there, like great things can happen. So.
Yeah.
So I think thank you very much for helping educate the community with all this, and it is
I
really
think we
important.
see that difference too. I'm not sure if your district does the superheroes, but we see that shine through with what families tell us about the impact of teachers and other staff on their children's learning. Teachers like you who, are willing to make those accommodations and help that child access the learning materials in the way that they need to. So that's been great for us to see that feedback too.
Yeah,
that
I
positive
actually
feedback.
had a question, which I probably should ask Doug. You might, you might know. But one thing I actually was thinking about this, like when kids go to college, there's probably no communication, right? Between, maybe there is, between like the town and the college.
Yeah,
they
there
go
is
to.
actually. Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah,
Like,
so
what
I-
level of communication is there?
I only know from being a mom,
yeah.
but Dave Robinson has been a big help with that transition and helping with kind of communicating about accommodations at the high school level to the college level and the college, the people who manage the disability office or accessibility office at college as well. Yeah, that was a huge help in our family for sure. So yeah, that has been something that's happened. Just again, speaking as a mom.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's kind of the structure that usually happens. I would assume so.
Just because high school is so structured, like the very nature of high school is structured,
Right.
like public education, K to 12 is so structured,
Yeah.
and then college is not.
Right.
It's much more. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, it looks a little different. I think what
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson did was kind of look at what accommodations would carry over. And there's different kind of accommodations that might be needed as well in terms of living space and physical mobility if you're living in a dormitory, things like that. So there's a lot to think about.
Spoke about Mr. Robinson last year.
Oh, there he is.
So,
Yeah, all good things, all good things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everybody.
thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, I'm going to step out. I've got a kid to pick up. So.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, and the last item for my comments is we have our middle school musical. That is Bye Bye Birdie. I think we have an old school committee member whose son, I think, is one of the leads. So the middle school musical is January 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And it's at 7 o'clock at the Galvin. And then June 25th at 2 in the afternoon. January. Okay. Did I say oh my gosh, it is January. No, yeah, they are not waiting 6 months for the amazing June post-school. No, it's January 25th. I'm just kidding. I don't wish it was June. And January 25th at 2 o'clock. So encourage everyone to go see the musical. And that is it for me. Dr. Lyons.
Thank you so much. With your permission, I would like to continue to take items out of order. And I'd like to start off with the program of studies and welcome Dave Robinson, who joined our meeting when he heard his name called. It's right on time. And so, David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And so the program of studies, the updated program of studies has been provided to the committee members. But if you can describe kind of changes for in the new document, that would be great.
That sounds good. Well, thank you for having me. I feel like we just did this. I can't believe an entire 12 months has gone by since the last time we went over this program of studies. It's crazy, but we are here again, getting ready for another year of scheduling. So there aren't a ton of huge programmatic changes for next year. I think emptying a building and moving into a new building is pretty big on our list next year as far as changes go. So I think the classes, we didn't necessarily change a lot with that part of it. So we do have a number of new classes on slate for next year. So we'll see how the course selection process goes and see if we get some students interested. I can go over some of those now. I did give like a cheat sheet, kind of like a one-pager. I don't know if that was given as well, but just some people are nodding their heads, so I guess, yep, you got it. Okay. So I'll start from the top. So performing arts, Tom Bankert's going to add a class called Percussion Ensemble. We already have wind ensemble and string ensemble and show choir and things like that, but I think he realized that the percussion department themselves, that doesn't necessarily fit into those categories, should also have their opportunity to excel. So he's going to add in the course percussion ensemble next year. The film department is going to add in a class called content creation. Oh, all right. The whole thing went blank, so I didn't realize you were putting it up on the screen. Okay, great, thanks. And so just reading from the program itself, that content creation class, students will learn to conceptualize, produce, and distribute content ranging from live studio shows, in school community broadcasts to social first media like short form videos, vlogs, and reels. So I think as we all can see in the real world here, content creation is becoming more and more popular, and so a course dedicated to that would be great. In the math department, couple new classes in math and a couple new in business. So with math, the Mathematical Literacy for Life is a senior level course, and that is basically designed for students looking to learn practical real-world math skills to support independent living, especially students who plan to enter the workforce after high school. They'll explore things like financial literacy, budgeting, banking, saving, investing, credit cards, loans. So it'll be a math course for seniors, an alternative to, say, pre-calc or calc, things like that. So while that's a senior math class, there'll be a new class called Foundations of Algebra, and that's a 9th grade class. It's basically a preparatory course. So when students come from 8th up to the 9th, and if their skills aren't quite up to jumping right into Algebra 1, this class will be for them for foundations to build their skills so that they're more prepared to take algebra the following year. So those are the two math courses that are going to be added in for next year. The business department has pretty exciting. I think we have 2 new classes they're going to add. One is I'm taking out of order, but one of them is the AP business class. So College Board, this doesn't even exist yet. Next year will be the first year they offer this AP business course, and we are going to jump on that and offer it. So kind of what it stands for, AP, right? You know, it's a high level class in whatever subject that it's for. And so for business, we know a lot of students have really shown some strong interest and excel in the business field that come through our school here. And so offering a high level course like this is something that we're really looking forward to doing. The College Board says that it basically aligns closely with the college level business course. They'll explore business disciplines of entrepreneurship, marketing, finance, accounting, and management through real world business applications, case studies, and project-based learning. So we'll see how that goes. We'll be offering that to juniors and seniors. And then another class, entrepreneurship, school-based enterprise. This course is basically designed to follow the DECA curriculum. And so it allows students to apply classroom learning with real-world business setting. And basically students can learn how businesses are launched, operated, how to analyze data, and they're going to actively manage and operate the school store while developing competencies such as creating value propositions, identifying customer segments, managing resources, and daily operations. So again, another business course that our students who are interested in that field can take advantage of. So those are the math and business courses. Social studies. So with social studies, we're going to add 3 new courses, and each year they've done a great job kind of just trying to figure out what might be popular with students. So they've added some this past year, some weren't quite as popular, so we'll be taking some of those off. You can see that down at the bottom there, some of the dropped courses. But instead of that, we're going to try to add a few new ones. And those 3 are going to be the history of social media. Hard to believe is a class that you can actually call the history of, but that's true. Then there is a course, Holocaust, Totalitarianism in World War II, and then Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire. So those are 3 new courses that we're going to offer. They're all semester courses, so half-year class that's kind of mix and match semester courses into one full block for the year. The Health and Wellness Department is going to offer a new course that I think I'll be trying to jump into a little myself, putting it down there. But it's mindfulness for teens, but I think it can probably be mindfulness for anyone. That is pretty much as explains mindfulness. And so what they're going to do is not just do activities, but they're going to learn the science behind mindfulness, what it actually is, and then they will practice techniques focused on breathing, grounding strategies, mindful reflection. So it's going to be, that'll count as a phys ed requirement. So if they don't necessarily take Wellness 1 or, sorry, Wellness 2, students could elect that like they would other electives like we already have, yoga and weightlifting, things like that. So that'll be an additional elective that students can pick from to meet their phys ed requirement. So those are all the new courses. Like I said, I listed a few there, the main ones in the social studies department that'll be switching out. And a lot of this just depends on course selection or requests. We haven't had that period yet, so we're not going to know the numbers until after we've finished the course request period. And we'll just kind of base numbers off of those figures once students have a chance to weigh in. The changes, again, nothing too drastic, but a couple that we are going to, that we'll point out, the overall schedule change request process. So I guess in a summary, the end of February into March. February and into March is kind of the big peak course selection piece of the year. And what they'll do is students will meet with the guidance counselors, teachers will make recommendations, parents and families will have a chance to look at the program of studies and electives. And then so that's when the students finally pick the classes. Teachers recommend, the core teachers would recommend what they should take the next year. And then once that's all entered, that's usually around the beginning of March, we make sure that parents, families, students all can see that on their PowerSchool account and see exactly what is officially being requested for each student. Then they have 3 weeks in March to really kind of make any changes. If they necessarily don't agree with the recommendation the teacher made, they can have a chance to kind of talk that out and figure out what the final requests are. So at the end of that period, at the end of March, we're going to kind of hold the line there. I think in the past, we've been really flexible with kind of change this, change that. And to align with other districts, most don't do that. They pretty much have their policy and then that's it. And I think giving all those weeks, it's actually longer than most districts give students to pick classes, enter them, review. So what happens is at the end of March, basically the departments determine what classes to offer based off the recommendations, how many sections of each class. And so if we have changes after that, then it could really kind of mess up things with, well, we were going to do this elective, but then 5 kids said they didn't want to take it afterwards because the friend didn't want to take it. So not to go in too much depth, but basically, not to go down this road here, but basically if we kind of just hold the line after giving them plenty of time to pick their classes and make sure that they pick them carefully, we'll avoid any kind of scheduling issues down the road, if that makes sense. And then that way, if we don't have any kind of last minute scrambling with schedules, students can get what they want. They don't, like I said, change their request based off of teachers or what other students are taking. We would make an exception, things like if a student goes on, like there'll be exceptions, I guess, depending on, we'll see how this goes, but say, for example, a student goes on a college tour in May and they find out they should have requested a certain class for next year. Obviously, something like that, if they come back and say they really need to take this class instead of that class, things like that we'd be open to hearing. But the overall kind of general thought would be to keep those timelines tighter. That makes any questions? I know I kind of went through quickly, but questions at all that came through after hearing that?
Could you explain a little bit more about the level change override procedure that's changing?
Oh,
How it's
yeah.
changing?
Yep.
Thanks.
Yes. So the level change override. So basically, what happens is if a student is, say, requested for a college algebra 2 class, and the student and family think they should take the honors level, then they have the opportunity to take that. What they do is they'll submit a form. The department leader of whatever department that class is will talk with the family and the student and kind of just see what would be the best plan moving forward, and then make the change if necessary. We've typically had that run through, trying to think the best way to explain it. Basically, we're going to have students stick in their class until the halfway point of the first quarter. So we have let students jump out right off the bat before level changes in the school year. And I think we want students to at least give the class a shot, I guess is the best way of saying it, where have they gone for extra help, have they studied, have they gone gone for tutoring, things like that, and just to kind of stick with the course. And so we're changing it to that we want the students to, yes, they still can change levels if it's appropriate, but to make that at the midpoint of the first term. So it's basically the beginning of October, mid-October.
All right, thank you.
Kevin?
So my other follow-up question was on the foundations of algebra. I would love to see in the program of studies the course mapping. If you add foundations of algebra in 9th grade, the program of studies that we have doesn't have that mapped out. It also didn't add in the mathematical literacy for life and still has mathematical modeling in it, but that's not listed as one of the course options. I just would love to see that cleaned up a little bit.
The flow chart, basically?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, yes.
Yep.
So the classes are in the book, just the flow chart wasn't updated, okay.
Yep, awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kevin?
David, I'm wondering if you can, or if you're able to, talk a little bit about the courses that are dropped and what leads to that, maybe that decision being made. Just kind of notice like some of the courses, particularly those around, we're just talking about inclusion, Indigenous peoples, LGBTQ, civic action, those types of things.
Yeah.
And so just curious and a little disappointed to kind of see some of those maybe undersubscribed or not of interest to students.
Right, I can understand that, and so I think it basically, unfortunately, was something that the courses weren't requested enough in order to run it. So there were a few here and there that were had some numbers of interest, but just didn't make it valid to run. And so I share the same not disappointment, but the titles and the courses themselves are great, right? So I think ideally we'd have lots of kids take all of them. There are a lot, so I think it was great to create these and offer those for students. And some of them did stick and work, and some of these we just didn't get enough. And so instead of trying to run them again, I think that the department is basically trying to think of some other topics that would be of interest to the students. So so basically each department goes through their courses, they look at the numbers, they see what's done in the past, and they see what's going forward, and they make their decision on courses they're going to run. And sometimes we've seen courses in any department that kind of just stay on there for a long period of time, and just year after year they don't. And so I think instead of letting that type of thing just keep going and going, they don't want to just lose momentum, and so they want to try some new courses to see if we can get some kids signed up.
So one of the things, we just got this today, so admittedly I haven't been able to go through. Do you feel like there remains to be courses that kind of address some of these topics in any meaningful way that are remaining and to be offered? And you might not know off the top of your head, but do you feel good that there continue to be courses around these sorts of topics that I think are really relevant in 2025 for our students? So
yeah, I mean, some of these topics may be included in other courses, but they're not going, obviously, they're not going to be solely around that subject. So I'm not sure of any classes that are, like which ones would cover those, you know what I mean? As far as like the Salem witchcraft trials, they're probably not going to be aren't going to be in other classes, unfortunately. And anything on there, I guess, some things may be covered, some may not. I'm not exactly sure myself. Won't be in those.
Okay. It might be worth discussing in a different place.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say,
can.
in terms of our core history courses are all updated to be aligned to the most current history and social sciences standards, which were redesigned to be more inclusive, more representative. So there's going to be themes throughout some of our core history courses, but dedicated to a certain topic, no. And then I would, I feel like these are all more your historical electives, but just different topics. But
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I have questions. Pete? I had a couple of questions, and you may not know the answer off the top of your head. The first one is, I forget which computer science AP course it was that wasn't run last year. It ended up just not, I maybe didn't have enough students or didn't have a teacher for it. Do we think that one is going to run this year?
Yes, so it was AP Computer Science Principles, and this past year we did not run the AP level. This year we are offering it, so we're going into the course selection period with it being on the list of courses for students to pick. So that is, as of right now, in the program, and an option for students to select, and we'll see what the numbers look like at the end. Okay. Course selection period.
And then my other question is, the new percussion ensemble, is that run in the same block as the wind ensemble, or is it run in a separate block from the wind ensemble?
I believe I don't want to speak for Tom here, but I believe it's it's not in the same room, obviously, when it's going on, so I think it's a different block. And if Tom's watching right now, he's probably going, I don't know. I can find that out for you.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? We got Tom.
Yep. So thank you, Dave, for all of this, and certainly for the work that you and the entire guidance team do to get us ready for this. Just a quick follow-up thought. I had 2 points. Certainly, I want to reinforce and support Dr. Piscatello's point on being disappointed, I guess is the word that I would use, I guess, in that these type of courses aren't really of interest. So that's that may be something for us to consider as to some of the demographics that we're looking at for the student population, which is appropriate for us to do and to become more and more I'm in tune with. But I appreciate your need and the guidance team's need to provide courses and content that is appropriate, that is of interest, not only to the teaching staff to be properly prepared, but for the interest level of students. So I just wanted to certainly add my thought to Kevin's. The other thing that I had was similar to Melissa's question, but I wanted to push it a little bit further. Your answer on the level change override, I didn't understand the use of the word override. Who is overriding whom?
Okay, sorry. Yes, no. So
didn't seem like an override was occurring.
Yeah.
It's easier to understand. I have some.
Good point.
Personal.
Yeah. So basically, I guess the way to explain is that when course recommendations come out, so in a few weeks actually. Teachers in the core classes, so they're English teacher, math teacher, science, history, world language. The teacher has a student, they recommend what they should take next year as far as leveling goes. And so they may they recommend the student takes a college placement level class as opposed to an honors class. And that is what gets entered into the computer as the student's request. The teacher recommendations go over. Most times they match what the student and family would have said the same thing. So I should probably clarify, the majority of these recommendations are what everybody's on the same page. If for some reason there is a class that the student or the family doesn't really agree with the recommendation, that's what would be considered quote unquote an override. And so the form is used to let the families kind of reach out to the department and say, okay, my child was recommended for this. We would like to actually pick this, and that generates the conversation, and then the decisions can be made as a group. So that's, I guess, what the technical override is overriding the teacher recommendations during the course recommendation period.
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate the concept of an override. Having had 2 students go through, the high school. But it's really the concept of the parent asking with the student, obviously, to go to a different level. But the expectation would be then that the child try first, right? Didn't you say that there wouldn't be a change? It would be in effect until October or halfway through the first semester?
Right, so that period of making that request to make the change, that's during March. That's the override time to say, at the beginning of March, we got our list of classes. We don't necessarily agree with this recommendation. We'd like to recommend honors instead of college placement. So you have the 3-week period in March to make those overrides, and those get all handled beforehand.
Okay.
It's then at the end of that period, once that's all settled, everybody's had their chance to say things, they've met. Then at the end of that period, we need to kind of lock in and go with what you pick. So they do have time to make that request before the student starts. We obviously want to try to have the courses be the appropriate level before we even start making the schedule. So that is why we built in that time during the whole month of March for people to bring this up.
Okay. All right.
And then-
I understand the timing. I wasn't sure because you also talked about in October change. Is that
You
one
talked about the
Yeah, so
ad
basically-
hoc in the fall. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's exactly. So after, whether it was, even if they agreed on the level and the student didn't want that level after the course started, that was the part of we'd like the student to participate in the course. Still enough time to change before the term's over whatsoever,
Okay.
but just to give them a little bit more chance. So that was the kind of the part there.
Okay. Good.
Tom,
I
can I
understand.
jump in just to add to your first part
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
the electives, and Kevin, I think that I think it's valid concerns related to interest, but Dave, I don't know if it would be helpful too to just talk about the elective process in general and just kids' schedules. I think there's a combination of sometimes the schedule doesn't work out and the numbers. Would you say that can play into this too, in terms of we try to offer a wide variety of different topics, and hopefully there's the availability of the students to participate, because this happened in other, I can see what the points you're bringing up right now, because I think
Yeah.
these are all great courses to offer, but sometimes student schedules
Sure.
and
Sure.
their limited space for electives can get in the way. But Dave, I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's until you're a senior, there can be really, if you think of, 7 courses and you have the 5 core classes, the English, math, history, science, and world language. Now and then one of your blocks is going to be like a health and wellness. So now you're down to kind of one, right, opportunity for an elective. So I think we're doing a great job of asking departments to come up with electives, and then there's not a ton of room, but at the same time, as students move up the grades, then they don't necessarily take a world language, or they may not take, they don't need to have health anymore. So like there's different things that open up. So yeah, to Kara's point, yes, the scheduling does play into that. So it's a combination of both. It's the request, but also is it going to fit in the schedule as well?
Right. There's only so many hours in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
dependent on when the
exactly.
teachers can, within their schedule, teach this specific elective and that matching up.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think the overall trend, though, is good in the sense that we haven't had electives really as much in the years past. And so I think it's just kind of it's a persistent, like no one's given up on this. We're going to keep offering these and coming up until something, as things work, we're going to keep going with them. So yeah, the list could be disappointing looking at it on the sheet there, but I think the mindset of continuing to try to offer electives that are worthy, I don't feel like, that has wavered at all. It's just trying to figure out what works.
And Dave, you would have monitored the numbers in these classes over a course of a couple of years, right? This isn't just an offering of 1 year and then
Yes.
a drop.
Yeah, no, we'd usually try to do 2 years. If not, like I said, some classes have been there forever, but some of these, they haven't been around as long, but it's been enough to, I think they just wanted to make sure that they could switch gears and try to find something that they could offer. And again, I've seen classes that have come off the list, and then they've come back on a year or two later, and some have stayed. So I think it's kind of like a ebb and flow over the years. But so not that these will never be offered again.
So I want to be clear here. I think that there's, a course name, and I think that the nature of the questions that were being asked by the school committee is, if a course is under enrolled, okay, so be it. The question within the question is, these are important topics to students, and where is this represented in the curriculum in other areas? And so if we can have that conversation maybe at a later time, I think that might be helpful, because I do think that in kind of creating curriculum that is kind of free of bias or kind of meeting the needs of students, these topics are being addressed in other areas, and especially in humanities, right? And so, and I think that it's something that Kara and her curriculum team are working on, and I think that was the question within the question. Am I?
No, it's very fair.
As opposed to, I think everyone understands the technical aspect of a course being under enrolled or not being able to be offered, right? And so we get that. But I think the question is, are these topics being removed. I think that's or where might they show up in different areas.
I think, yeah, that makes sense. I think we could look into that and come back and revisit that with the departments. Could maybe,
Yeah, I mean, we're in a social studies
Jobs.
review, right? I mean, these are all, I'm just going
Yeah.
back to aligned courses with the updates from the 2018 standards. A lot of these topics are kind of weaved into other core history courses, but we're in a social studies review right now. We're in process of that right now, and we'll be reporting out later in the year on recommendations from that team. We could dig in a little more. I don't know if that's what you're looking for. If you want to kind
I
of
could maybe answer that question right now. You know, I would defer to Jason and Andy on those.
Yep.
Great.
if
That
we
would be
tease out
helpful.
certain topics.
Thank you.
Great. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you very much for your presentation.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
so much.
Good night.
All right, we'll see you.
Thank you so much. Next on our agenda is the 2026-2027 draft calendar. And just a correction, it says motion this evening to accept. This evening, we're going to put the draft calendar on the table like we would a policy. And then in our next meeting, we will make a motion to accept. But I would love for Kara to talk a little bit about the calendar because I think we've done more work, and Kara has done more work on the calendar this year than I think any year prior to this year, especially with the anticipation of the new high school coming online in just about 11 and a half months, right? And so, and the reason, you know, we want to give time or create a calendar that's more nuanced and better meets the needs of different levels, especially the high school, is because they're going to be packing and moving in the middle of the school year, right? So I think everyone knows that we're scheduled to move into the new high school, and we're on schedule and on budget to move next January into the new high school. But the plan is to start the school year with a new bell schedule in the old building, and to also be prepared to really thoughtfully support the teachers to make the move in December and January, which is going to be tricky, right? And so, and we're working on that now. But I think Kara could talk more about the calendar.
Yep, sure. So you were shared two calendars, one for pre-K 3 and one specifically for the high school. First, I just want to thank the WA leadership team, administration. This was a highly collaborative effort that started a couple of months ago, just knowing that we needed to be very intentional about what next year's calendar looked like given the big move to the new high school in January of 27. So the reason right off the bat that we have it separated into a pre-K to 8 and a high school is not necessarily that there's dramatic differences across the district, but that there was just enough that we wanted to highlight on the side legend that it just became very jumbled, and we thought it might just be easier to tease it all out. So I can talk about some common things across both calendars to start, and then I'll highlight the high school differences as I go. So with Labor Day being late this year, we are bringing staff back for the first day on August 31st. That will be across the district. Contractually, we are able to bring students back before Labor Day if it's late. I don't have the exact contract language, but I think it's students aren't to start any earlier than September 1st. So we do have the first day of students, first day of school for high school students only on September 1st. And that we did that, again, in collaboration with the union leadership team, just thinking that we would want to, typically we start the year with 2 professional development days or staff prep days. For the high school this year, we're going to start with 1 and then bank that other one for later in the year, which you'll see. So all students will come back. So high school students will start on the 1st, and then the rest pre-K to 8 will come in on the 2nd of September. We always typically have the Friday before Labor Day and, of course, Labor Day off. So then school will just resume from there on September 8th. We continue to have our 5 half professional development days. Our first one's on September 25th. Again, we're keeping those on Fridays. That seems to be working out well. So you'll see those half days scattered on Fridays. October, Indigenous People, Columbus Day on the 12th, and then half day on the 30th for everyone. November is consistent across the district as well. We anticipated a high turnout for voting on November 3rd, so we chose to not hold school that day and have it be a full-day staff professional development day. Veterans Day on the 11th, half day before Thanksgiving, as we usually do on the 25th, and then the Thanksgiving holiday. December is where we do have some differences between the levels. I'll point out that the pre-K through 8 conferences fall in the window of December 3rd and 4th. Our elementary level has 2 half-days dedicated to conferences, and then our 5 through 8 has 1 day. 9 through 12 also right now technically has 1 day, but again, we banked that for later in the year. We felt that we could cover high school conferences through the night commitment. That was feedback that we got. So, and then you'll see on the high school calendar that we are going to have half days on the 18th and the 21st dedicated to packing up in anticipation of the move, which will occur leading up to those days in part, and then also over the break. The 18th and the 21st, we were able to work with WA leadership to poll staff on what they felt. We had a couple different options for half days in December, and these were the preferred days for half days for pack up on the 18th and the 21st. The pre-K through 8 will have 2 full days on 21 and 22, and then the December break will start on the 23rd. With school resuming for pre-K through 8 on January 4th, we're going to hold high school students on the 4th and have our high school staff come into the new building. That's the plan. I say it. I hope if all goes as planned. But that is what we're planning for, that all of our high school staff would be entering the new building on the 4th, have a full day to unpack, settle in, get acclimated to their new environment. And then on the 5th, we would have kind of like a reverse half day where we would have a delayed start for students. Staff would come in the morning and again have another half a day in the morning to continue to settle in, and then students would come in the afternoon. And then we will carry on through January, Martin Luther King Day on the 18th, another half professional development on the 29th. You'll see our February vacation highlighted, another half professional development day on the 26th. March, I have to toggle back and forth. I'm going by memory. Holds our elementary conferences, our 2 more half days for elementary conferences on the 18th and 19th. And we have the Galvin showcase on the 18th as well in the evening, which they've typically been doing for a number of years in lieu of conference, having a parent showcase that night. Then you will see, and I think, sorry, I don't think there's an evening commitment for high school conferences in the spring. I'm sure we're not missing that. Yeah, there is. I'm sorry. April 8th, it highlights the evening commitment for high school conferences. And then we get into April vacation. You'll see that highlighted there. And May 14th will reflect a early release professional development for pre-K 8 only, because again, we played around with some of the high school half days in preparation for the move. And then Memorial Day on the 31st of May. And then the last day of school without any snow days falls on June 17th. Juneteenth falls on a Saturday this year, and we were just kind of looking up guidance on the day to observe that holiday, and it's typical that the Friday before the Saturday holiday is observed. So that would be a day off if school is still in session. Any questions?
Pete? So I'll start by echoing what Dr. Lyons said. It was obvious how much work you put into this in collaborating with the WA. The fact that there were updates to the last millisecond to take into account their feedback. Anyone looking at the calendar that was in our packet, as you said, the 18th and the 21st of December are different half days than are reflected in that calendar. And then I think those are my only points. Yep. So just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, so that was, I think the staff survey was put out right before vacation, and we had the days that you saw were tentative just to get your eyes on it, and then we were able to get the survey results, and we had a meeting on January 7th where we were able to finalize and get that feedback.
So
Will we be able to update the packet so people can see the?
Yes, we can do that. Yep, absolutely.
Any questions? All right, do we have a motion on the?
Yep. Move the school committee lay on the,
Oh, lay on the table. Sorry.
move the school committee lay on the table the 2026, 2027 draft calendars, pre-K to 8 and WMHS, to be voted on at the next school committee meeting on January 27th, 2026.
Second.
All right, motion has been seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Next on my agenda is the 2024-2025 SEAM Annual Report. This is an informational document. We are members of SEAM Collaborative, and so there are 11 partner districts that include North Reading, Linfield, Woburn, Stoneham, Wilmington, Reading, Melrose, Winchester, Wakefield, Saugus, and North Andover, right? And so as being a member district, what that entitles us to is the superintendents of those districts also act as a board, like the school committee, that oversees the operation of SEAM Collaborative. For those that are watching that may not know what SEAM Collaborative is, SEAM Collaborative works with partner districts to provide low-incident specialized programming and therapeutic services to students with complex learning behavior, behavioral, and social emotional needs. And so, for example, if we had students that had needs and they needed to go out of district, for example, sending them to a collaborative or providing service through the collaborative to students allows them to get the services and the support that they need while also kind of staying close to home and being supported as close to the district as possible. And so as part of this annual process where the annual report is provided to partner members, so all of the 11 districts that I just provided, everyone will get the same report. And this annual report comes after there's an annual financial audit to make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page and that everything is appropriate in regard to the financial operations of the school. And so it's been a pleasure for us to work with SEAM Collaborative. They've created job alikes for us. We've also worked with them this year to create some pilot programs where kind of they are using staff and contractors to assess special education programming. Not only they're going to do a pilot in our district, and I believe they're going to do it in 2 other districts as well, but we're excited to get another set of eyes or another lens, for example, people that have a group of experiences that can provide us feedback on how we can best improve our program and also maybe kind of recognize what's really going well, but also really kind of make sure that we're doing all that we can to best develop programming to best meet the needs of students. But that's a very quick update. The document has a lot of information. Currently, there's about 300 students total that attend collaborative, the SEAM Collaborative programs. We have, I want to say, 4 or 5 students right now from Wakefield that are receiving services through the collaborative. And that number might have changed. It might be 4 now, and it was at 5. But I'll double check that just to confirm. But that's where we're at. We have a standing meeting once a month, like school committee. We have a board meeting. We evaluate the director, like school committee. It's been a pleasure to be part of that group and part of SEAM Collaborative. I think it's a system that's run really well. The director, Kathy Lawson, I think has been a great partner for us. She's also acting as a mentor to Shannon Blacker, who has gone from the assistant director of special education to the director space while Rosie's on leave, but we're providing support for her, and that support is coming from Kathy Lawson, so we're pleased to share that as well. But that's a very quick update about the annual report, about what SEAM does, and about what the board does, and about what my participation in the collaborative is like. Happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? All right, seeing none.
Thank you. Just final comments, just comments and updates. Just before vacation, just before the winter break, the administrative team met with the Department of Special Education that had completed a tiered focus monitoring, which they do an assessment of special education in the district. There was one finding which we will share with the school committee on the 26th. And so the one finding is really about documentation in terms of restraint. And, and so I think we are kind of keeping track of our need to restrain if that is ever an issue. I think our first position is always to never put hands on unless there's a life safety issue where a student could be harmed or an adult could be harmed. But the feedback that we got from the department, that was the only finding. So, their kind of top to bottom look was really just about documentation. And there'll be more information that we can share on that on the 26th. Just other comments from faculty, staff, and the administration. Welcome back, everybody, and Happy New Year. And it's like we never left. One weekend, and we're right back at it. And all of our athletic teams are kind of moving full steam ahead. Kevin shared that we have a theater production happening at the middle school, and that's it from us.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is our subcommittee reports. Finance and facilities. Tom.
Thank you. We actually haven't had a meeting since the last school committee meeting, but our next meeting is this Friday morning at 8 o'clock. Topics that we'll be following up on from our last meeting, which was early December, will include obviously the fiscal 27 budget development process, see where the administration is at that, and the calendar that we're looking forward to in the next couple months or so. Also, we'll hear a facilities update, what has occurred in the last month or so, especially any particular projects that may have been attended to over the winter break. And we'll have some pretty standard report on the high school project, and probably I'm sure we'll share some thoughts on those who were able to make the tour there a couple weeks ago. We also have as an agenda item, which I know is something the town council is talking about as well, an upcoming public hearing on the naming of certain facilities and spaces in the new building. So we're certainly going to be discussing that, and I would assume certainly adding support to the continuation, or at least from my perspective anyways. We'll see where the subcommittee lies, but we're continuing to show support for the continuation of the names of those spaces into the new building as historically and memorializing those individuals, for their contributions to the community over the years. So that's Friday's agenda.
Thanks. Big agenda. Thank you. Next, subcommittee, Kevin Piscatello for labor.
Yeah, labor and personnel has been pretty busy. We've been meeting and continuing to meet with the WEA around issues, particularly around the move to the new high school. We've had a couple meetings to that effect. Our last one was on the 7th. We are meeting again next week on the
21st.
On the 21st to discuss continuing with discussions around the move, but as well as about the new bell schedule, which would be necessary in the new high school space. So some good collaboration there between us and the WEA. So looking forward to continuing those discussions. And we have a whole host of meetings set up as well, if necessary. So we'll meet again next week to the 21st at 5:30 in Galvin. Subcommittee also met yesterday, as I had reported prior. We're continuing to discuss a contract extension for Dr. Lyons. So Tom has taken on a leadership role in kind of gathering really good data of DART districts and Middlesex school districts, and so that we can create hopefully a nice contract extension for Dr. Lyons. So there'll be more of that to come in the future.
Okay, thank you. Student services, Stephen.
Students haven't met since our last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Policy and communications, Melissa.
We met briefly last night just to review the most recent iteration of Policy Book B, which is school committee operations. We have a follow-up meeting next Tuesday to finalize that and should have it to lay on the table at the next meeting.
Okay, thank
I
you.
know I said that last time, but this time it's really going to happen.
Okay. We'll hold you to that. Next, do we have any liaison reports? Pete?
The Human Rights Commission has been busy planning their Dr. Martin Luther King Day celebration, which will be coming up on Monday the 19th at 10 in the Galvin Auditorium. And then the only other update I have from the Human Rights Commission is Dr. Lyons had put in his recommendation to Town Council to have a student representative added to the Human Rights Commission, and they're planning that for their meeting, I believe, on the 26th of
Correct.
this month.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other liaison reports? All right, see none. Next item on the agenda, future dates. Our next school committee meeting is 2 weeks from today, on Tuesday, January 27th, at 7 o'clock. Does anyone have any agenda items that they want to put on the agenda for that?
So I know we can't discuss any items that were raised at public comment, so my ask would be for Dr. Lyons to follow up on the concerns that were raised today, and then maybe we can have a follow-up agenda item, whether it's a couple of weeks or however long Dr. Lyons needs to update us on the concerns that were raised.
Okay.
I think it might be best to look at that in labor.
Okay, then
Right.
wherever we can refer it to
As a
get-
starting point. Not saying we can't bring it up to the committee, but it's going to come up in budget, Pete.
Okay.
So it's going to be in a couple subcommittees. It's going to be in finance
Finance,
and labor.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So
Yeah,
we can absolutely add that as an agenda item, though.
And then if you need any follow-up on those concerns before it even goes there, then that would be appreciated.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. Any other agenda items from anyone on the table? Going once, going twice. Okay. Next item on the agenda, school committee comments. Does anyone have any comments? Wow, no, Kevin.
Well, I figured Pete was going to do this since he was there as well, but as Tom predicted, just wanted to comment really briefly on the tour of the new high school on Friday. Melissa was there as well. I hadn't been in a couple iterations, so I think they just poured floors. The last time I was there to give you an idea of how long ago that was, but to see it is just incredible. It's really exciting to see. It's really coming along nicely. There's lights, there's even paint in some places. Pete's got some wonderful pictures. I didn't even catch you doing all those pictures. But there's some really great pictures that Pete has put online that really kind of capture its current state. So just really, really exciting. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to visit and to see kind of its current progress. But it's really coming along well. It seems like it's on track and things are really moving really well. And it's just going to be an amazing space for the community, for students, for teachers, for staff. It's really exciting to see.
I believe buildings A, B, and C are weather tight now.
Wow,
Which
that's
is,
awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's quite fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was a great opportunity.
Thanks for coming.
Pete?
Yeah, I would definitely hire Bond to do any construction project. I mean, the way that they can work and they've made magic happen, and it seems like almost no time that they've been able to put the building up to its current state. So I'll echo what you said, Kevin. And I also, prior to the break, we wrapped up our tours, of all the schools in the district minus one. And I just want to say, I mean, there's nothing that beats seeing all the hard work being done by our staff, by our administrators in the buildings. It certainly beats every second we spent here just seeing that in action. So just wanted to give my appreciation to, we had students who gave us tours at Doyle and the high school, to all of our administrators who showed us what was going on. We got to see many different things in practice, like these, what is the name of the remote assistance at the Woodville when the kids were in the cafeteria, and you talk about it, and they were getting
Ignite.
we got to see Ignite in practice. You know, we'd heard you talk about it, but we actually got to see it. going on. And then we also heard a lot about the use of open architects and some of the data and how we're using it to improve student outcomes and going forward. So I just wanted to give my appreciation for everyone. I mean, it's disruptive to have us walk into all those classes and buildings, but I think it beats every second we spend here talking to see all the hard work that goes on in our schools.
There's so much good work happening. It's quite heart-filling to watch, right? And that's not to say that there aren't plenty of improvements we need to make. There are, but if to get in and see it and to meet and interact with students, there's really nothing better.
Yeah, the other heartwarming thing was just hearing some of those high school students talk about the impact staff members have had in their decisions of what they want to study in college. So that was nice. And then you learned a lot about various ships when we were at the Doyle.
At the
right?
Doyle. And I have a new friend that is enamored with ships and wanted to talk about ships and icebergs quite a bit. It was super fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, I think we have a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Move the school committee adjourn its meeting of Tuesday, January 13th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, motion passes.
I should let people
All right.
vote before I.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.